All right, hello, hi. FBI run team. Uh, oh man. Oh, okay. Oh God. uh, Hi, so this is Riko Siempre, RN, VTuber, RN educator, and IRL nurse. Hello, Timochi. Thank you for joining on the stream. Oh God, don't tell me your dad joined the stream, sweetie. I saw Renal, I thought it was. No. It's Renal. Yep. Oh, hello, GB Sensei. Good to see you. Hi. Don't mind me. I'm just starting to set up right now. Da, 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 da. Just gonna give it a couple minutes for everyone to join in. Hello, Contrived. My internet sucks on this plane. I am so sorry, Sensei. Who else is here? Scouty Drac. Hello, nice to see you. This is Riko Siempre, RN, VTuber, RN educator, and IRL nurse. What up, lol, IRIAM is being weird, keep saying it isn't responding. Oof. Brother-in-law. Oh, God. Oh God, I see. Hello, Goddess Rian. Thank you so much for the plane, TV. Thank you for the star. Thank you so much. Oh boy. All right, hang on. Let me just share this on my other thing, real quick. Let me just. I'm hoping I can share this whole thing actually. Copy link. Post. Hi, Cubit. Thank you for the party poppers, Contrive. Okay, I'm gonna get started pretty soon. All right. Let's see here. Okay, hope you don't mind the music. Just pop by to tell you you're amazing, everyone. Thank you, Cubit. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. All right, I'm probably gonna get started pretty soon. All right, see ya. Okay. All right. All right. I hope everyone's been having a good day today. Just got out of work, finally back home, and decided, hey, let's have another educational stream. Let's have another topic about health. Okay. Will I be at Offkai with the event? Unfortunately, I will not be attending Offkai Expo as much as I'd love to. I'll actually be attending a Post Malone concert. Gonna be rocking out to him. Um, Yay, learning time. Okay. Okay. Oh, I am jelly about the concert. Yep. It's just unfortunate it's happening at the same time as Offkai, but at the same time, it's a good time for me to unwind, relax, and spend some time with my family too. So I'll be heading over there in June. Okay. You should ask Post Malone if he'll perform at Sky Live. I wish. I don't think he has a VTuber avatar though. Okay. Let me take a quick swig of my drink and I'll get started. No, I saw it. It's a cute picture. Okay. All right. So, who here among you knows what end-stage renal disease is? Pop quiz. It's right in the title. All right. Nangi, can you tell me what's end-stage renal disease? Hi, Stray. Good of you to join the stream. I do, but I'll sit back. I know you would, GV Sensei. And Annika, I know you can't answer because that's cheating. You and I both know it's cheating. What's up? Just gonna chill and tap, have a good talk. Yeah, of course. Sit back and relax. Your kidneys go poop. Kidney disease. Pretty much, yeah. Hi, Louie. Thank you for joining in. I'm just starting my lecture on end-stage renal disease. So, what is end-stage renal disease? So, if you don't know what chronic kidney disease is, it's when your kidneys are eventually going kaput, essentially. So, whether it be through some other disease process, some other um, some other thing that's been causing it, like say you're bleeding somewhere and you don't get enough perfusion to the kidneys, and it never recovers. That's how you get chronic kidney disease. Um, it really sucks having unhealthy kidneys. Yes, yes, it does. It really does. Um, so, what end-stage renal disease is? It's the final stage of chronic kidney disease, in which kidneys can no longer function to support the body's needs. Um, at this stage, the kidney function is only at 10 to 15% capacity. So imagine this: your entire life, your kidneys work at 100% capacity, just like your heart, right? Or like everything else in your body. However, due to sickness, due to disability, due to chronic illness, whatever have you, whatever may affect it, um, those your kidneys eventually lose function. And the issue is your kidneys are in charge of a lot of things, actually. Not just filtering out the blood, but it's also responsible for taking out excess fluid, taking excess electrolytes, taking out excess calcium, phosphorus, potassium, all of those things that we need in order to survive. Sometimes having a bit too much is bad for us, right? So, what happens if we can't get rid of that? The body's in a lot of trouble. So, in ESRD, kidneys are unable to effectively remove the waste and fluid from the body, balance electrolytes, and produce essential hormones. Hi, Jay. Thanks for coming in. Sadly, sickness scared mine for a while. Oh, yeah, yeah. Good to see you, Jay. Thanks for popping in. As a result, patients with ESRD experience various symptoms and complications, including fatigue, drowsiness, decreased urination, or inability to urinate. Hi, Random Zero. Thanks for joining the stream. Giant itchy skin, nausea and weight loss, bone pain, swelling due to fluid retention, and high blood pressure. So, to survive, usually individuals with ESRD require regular dialysis treatments, to which I am. Ola, how are you today? Yeah, I'm doing well. I'm doing well today. Hey, Paradot, thanks for joining in today. Appreciate you. Thank you for the star. Hey. All right. Thank you for the star, Random Zero. So, let's keep going. Yeah. To keep going. I work in outpatient dialysis, hemodialysis specifically, and I've been working in outpatient dialysis since 2018. So I've actually no 2016, 2018, 2016. I've been doing this for 9 years, so I kind of know a thing or two about the kidneys. Um, so how does ESRD happen? Well, I did mention chronic kidney disease, but there are two big causes as to why it happens. Um, there are our biggest offenders. So one is diabetes mellitus. So if you remember my lecture from last time, don't even get me started on kidneys, mine are bad. Ooh, I'm so sorry, contrived. Please don't end up in my clinic. I really hope so. Okay, back to the topic. So two big things cause ESRD. Diabetes mellitus, either type 1 or type 2, which I talked about previously in my last health education lecture. And or, it's a combination sometimes, hypertension, or otherwise known as high blood pressure. So why is this important? Well, how does this happen? So, as I discussed previously, Hi, Dahlia. Thanks for joining on the stream. I'm teaching about end-stage renal disease today. I'm just going over the causes. I can revive my kidneys by eating steak and kidney pie, right? No, unfortunately not. uh, so, uh, so with diabetes mellitus, if you remember from my previous lecture, to which, by the way, it's also been uploaded to my YouTube channel if you all ever want to check it out. By the way, that I'm on a shill for that there. Thank you, and I feel good just to have 10% left kidney function left, 80% right kidney plus other health stuff. No, oh, okay. All right. Well, I just hope you keep having. I just hope you maintain your function. All right. Hi, Sheva. Good of you to join on the stream. And hello, Creative Raven. Thanks for dropping in. Sheva, I think this one's going to be relevant to you. So, with ESRD, when it comes to diabetes mellitus and how it's related, so if you remember from my previous lecture, thank you for the heart, Jay. If you remember my previous lecture, you know how those sugars, those free roaming sugars in the blood, can cause damage to your blood vessels and organs if left alone, and it hasn't been processed into the cells. Well, that can cause damage to the kidneys as well, and the blood vessels in the kidneys. Now, just because the kidneys filter the blood doesn't mean that they don't need blood itself. So, if you think about it, the more your blood vessels are destroyed in the kidneys that supply blood to it in order to get oxygen, the less it's able to do. So, the more you leave diabetes uncontrolled, the more possible kidney damage you're going to have. And the kidneys are especially sensitive because they filter out a lot of things, glucose included. Hello, Leon K16. Thank you for joining us. I'm Riko Siempre, RN. I'm IRL nurse and VTuber RN educator, and I'm teaching about end-stage renal disease. So, another big culprit for the prevalence of end-stage renal disease is hypertension or high blood pressure. Now, why is that? So, think of it this way. When you have high blood pressure, your vessels, the arteries, have a like it says, it's like you have a higher pressure in there. But how does that cause damage? Think of it this way. If the rubber in the best part of having IRL nurse friends is getting to read their textbooks. Yes, exactly. So think about it this way when it comes to high blood pressure. Okay, so your veins, your arteries are only meant to have a certain pressure threshold to keep it normal, like say the air in your tires. Now, if you blow up your tires too much to the point where it's beyond the recommended range where it's supposed to be, you can cause damage. It's like blowing it, or not the top, like, so not even think about tires, think about blowing up a balloon or any kind of sports equipment, or like a ball, you know. If you overinflate it way too many times, you're going to eventually permanently damage the rubber that's holding everything in. And unfortunately, you do it enough times, it's going to expand. It's going to expand too much. Yes, like you spend the monies and I'll gain the knowledge. Ebook, gain knowledge. Okay, so now think of it this way. In order to make sure that you still have enough blood flow to your peripherals, to your organs, to your tissues. Riko about to have burning pockets this week. Jeez. Too much pressure equals rupture. Yeah, it can if it's way to excess. But the thing is with hypertension, and it develops slowly. So think of it this way. Um, the more the more you put pressure on the arteries and walls, the more restrictive it needs to be in order to contain that pressure. And unfortunately, the more the arteries and the walls need to restrict themselves, the less buoyant they become. It becomes a lot stiffer. So um, if you know how like rubber gets more, if rubber gets stiffer, like your wheels get stiffer, if you put too much air in them, or say for example, let's see here, I'm trying to think of other things. Or say, for example, you start to, or say you start to constrict the hose. That's how it happens. Um, oh, hey, Spectral. Good of you to join in. Hello, Bunso. My resting is usually 170 over 80 around that ballpark. Uh, Creative Raven, I'm gonna have to tell you. I would recommend seeing your doctor about getting that looked at, please. That is not a normal blood pressure to have at rest. I would highly recommend getting that checked out by your PCP. It's due to my anxiety and PTSD. Okay, I can understand that, and I hope you're getting treatment with that, Creative Raven. However, I would still recommend seeing your doctor to have your blood pressure checked at, uh, so that way to see if you do need any other help with taking medications to help lower that. Okay? Okay, I'm back and had to fix my username. Okay, as fish doing my lap. So, okay, Special, thanks for joining in. But yeah, so the more that the blood vessels are under stress, the harder it's going to constrict in order to make sure you have enough blood to perfuse. However, being that as it may, um, it's also going to have less flow into those peripherals because it needs to maintain that pressure in order to make sure you have enough blood flow to your major organs. So, like, say, your heart, your lungs, your brain, your kidneys. So, unfortunately, the kidneys, it's a very vascular organ. That same blood pressure changes are going to affect it as well. So, if we leave high blood pressure unchecked without taking any interventions, it's very possible for the kidneys to develop to eventually have less perfusion, and unfortunately, the more that happens, higher your blood pressure is going to be. And thank you for following, Spectral. And unfortunately, it becomes a positive feedback loop where it gets worse and worse and worse, to the point where your kidneys eventually just stop working. Um, that's the thing about high blood pressure. So, um, hypertension, aka high blood pressure, and diabetes mellitus are, at least here in the U.S., the biggest two reasons as to why kidney disease develops. Um, because that's the thing with kidney disease. It's interesting in that it doesn't. It's not a primary cause. It's usually the result of something else happening, system wide. Um, that's why you gotta look at things holistically. Um, so, how do we diagnose end-stage renal disease? And thank you for the star, Leon K16. Really appreciate that. So, it just piles on to something else then. Yeah. So think of it this way. Um, Say you get in, knock on wood, you get into an accident, right? You bleed a lot. Okay? So, unfortunately, so in other words, it's a symptom. It's not necessarily a symptom. It's more of it's more. I would like to say it's more of a secondary effect of an overriding problem. If you fix the root of the problem, then you can probably fix the symptom or fix the secondary issue. So, say for example, you get in a car accident, right? Knock on wood. You get a major bleed from a major blood vessel. So, it is very possible you can develop kidney damage because you bled out a lot. Now, Is it possible to recover from that? Yeah, it is, given how old you are, how healthy you are, among other factors, if you have any comorbidities. But um, if you, but if it doesn't recover, unfortunately, that's because the whatever vessels, whatever perfusion that the kidneys were deprived of blood. They were deprived of oxygenation. So, unfortunately, there you go. You could also say that it could be a problem with liver disease. So, say you're alcoholic, right? Knock on wood. And you drink alcohol to excess. What can happen is that you get alcoholic liver disease, and due to the anatomy and physiology of the liver and of the blood vessels, especially the hepatic vein that leads from the liver, going upstream from the liver, going up through the liver into the heart. If you were to get alcoholic liver disease or fatty liver disease or anything that affects the liver, it could very well become inflamed, and it can actually cause what's called portal hypertension and cause backup of the blood into the kidneys. Now, if that were to happen, that means the kidneys would get damaged, because guess what? We don't have proper blood flowing. We would increase the blood pressure, the internal blood pressure of the kidneys themselves. That's actually how my dad got pancreatitis plus diabetes from the pancreatitis, the alcohol. Yeah. So it is possible for other diseases and other illnesses, or other things that may happen to you, to lead to kidney disease, or at the very worst, end-stage renal disease. It's still wild we are strong and fragile at the same time, yes. When I'm on dialysis, my blood pressure drops into the 80s. I take Midodrine during treatment to keep my pressure up, but every time at the end of treatment, I still drop to the 80s. Yes, so I'll be going over dialysis pretty soon. I just wanted to go over how ESRD is diagnosed. So, it's diagnosed with a combination of tests and examinations. Our main methods are blood tests. We measure waste products like creatinine and urea in the blood, as well as electrolyte levels and overall kidney function like GFR. Crazy, huh? What's BUN and creatinine? Okay, since you decided to pose that question, sweetie, I know for a fact you did, and I know you know this answer, but for everybody else, I'll answer it. So BUN and creatinine are the waste products created in the blood after your cells are done metabolizing. Hi, Bunny. Thanks for joining the stream for the first time. I'm Riko Siempre, RN. I am IRL nurse and a VTuber RN educator, and I'm teaching about end-stage renal disease. So BUN, or urea, and creatinine are byproducts of cellular metabolism, and that's going to be all throughout the body, either singular cells, tissues, major organs. Every one of it causes the production of urea and creatinine, which is normal. Finally, the cause stream. Yay, there you go. That's my girl. I raised her well to be obnoxious. Yes, you did. Yes, you did, Dad. When it comes to urea and creatinine, I'm amazing at nauseous. Yes, you are, sweetie. When it comes to urea and creatinine, first time for me too. Okay, so I'll continue. So when it comes to urea and creatinine, like I said, it is a byproduct of cellular metabolism. So it's not a bad thing that it produces that. That's normal. And how it's usually taken out of the body is through your kidneys. It's excreted through the filtering process of the kidneys. It goes through the nephrons, glomeruli, yada yada. I am not going to go through a whole anatomy and physiology lesson of the kidneys, but just know that your kidneys are responsible for taking those out. Now, If those blood tests show that you're having a rise in urea and creatinine, then unfortunately it may be an indicator of kidney disease. There are some other tests that we also check as well in order to diagnose end-stage renal disease. There's something we do urine tests, so we check for proteins in the urines. We also can check for the amount of creatinine and urea that's produced in the urine to see if it's within normal amounts or if it's not within normal range, because it will tell us like how well exactly your kidneys are filtering by telling us how much the end product is being produced. All right. We also have imaging tests, which include ultrasounds and CT scans or MRIs, which provide detailed images of kidneys and surrounding structures. Depending on some cases, especially where we're trying to really see if like if someone is still have kidney injury, or if it's for sure end-stage renal disease, sometimes you would take a kidney biopsy. MRIs are still allowed. Yes, they are. But yes, the biopsies, if you don't know what a biopsy is that they take a sample of kidney tissue, or any tissue of that matter they want to examine, and have it and remove it from the body and have it examined under a microscope to see exactly what's in it or what's the extent of the damage, whatever it might be. So in this case, they usually take a big honking needle and take some of your kidney tissue out. Yep. Is it painful? Can't tell you, but just know sometimes it's necessary. We also have the last part of being diagnosed with ESRD is physical examinations and medical history. So obviously we're going to look at your signs and symptoms and see if you're any kind of comorbidities or if your family history would indicate that you would be likely to have kidney disease. Official medical term, big honking needle. Yeah, that's official, right? Biopsies aren't painful with enough numbing. Yeah, they aren't. Okay, so just know that yes, it's painful. I had it done. It's more pressure than pain. Yeah, that's true. I mean, they aren't mutually exclusive. It really depends on how they prepare it and what exactly needs to be biopsied. But I digress. Even with numbing, biopsies can hurt. Yes, they can. But in order to typically diagnose for end-stage renal disease, they would usually look for the glomerular filtration rate, which is the rate at which your kidneys are filtering the blood. If it's less than 15 milliliters a minute, then it would have lost health function. To be fair, people have different pain tolerance, at least the thyroid one. Yeah, I can. Okay, so here's the big question. I think everybody was wondering. Oh, poor mama. GFR, that's our lecture this afternoon. Well, here you go, Spectral. There you are. I get a perfect review or like primer for this. So, what is the treatment for end-stage renal disease? So, there are two primary treatments. One is kidney transplant. The other is dialysis. And there are different kinds of dialysis. But let's go over kidney transplant real quick. So, kidney transplant is considered the most optimal treatment for most patients with ESRD. Geez, I wonder why. You're replacing the organ that doesn't work no more. One would think. Because said organ works 24/7. It would be nice to have the same thing to treat the disease 24/7, right? Yeah, that's the issue. But waiting list. So here's the thing with kidney transplants. You get improved survival rates and quality of life compared to being on dialysis, freedom from dependence on being dialysis machines, and a potential for a longer life expectancy. However, like Annika said, the waiting list to get one can be pretty long, especially if you don't have a willing donor, either live or say you find say there's a cadaver, and that's where dialysis comes in. Yep, exactly. But I do need to mention though, even if you were to get a kidney transplant, you also need to be on immunosuppressant drugs for a lifetime, even if the organ fails. Reason being, even if the kidney transplant is coming from an identical twin, we still need to give immunosuppressant drugs or drugs to make sure your immune system doesn't attack it. Why? Because it's still foreign, and your immune system will attack anything that is foreign, even if it's something helpful for the body. So, if left unchecked, if left without it, without immunosuppressant drugs, your immune system will attack the transplanted organ and you will get sick from it. And the unfortunate part is that even after transplant, even if it were to fail, you still need to take the immunosuppressant drugs. So that's a terrible thing. And a certain spice-themed canine just decided to listen to the familiar voice. Peppers acknowledge just like your kiddos. So when it comes to it, so when it comes to transplant, yes, it's the most optimal, but it also has its own set of responsibilities. Keeping it in the family. So that's the unfortunate part with transplants. But we still want everybody to try to get a transplant as much as possible, because guess what? That's still the best, that's still the most best way you can get the best quality of life. You're able to be functionally independent from anybody else. But you do have certain responsibilities when it comes to that. That includes making sure you keep yourself keep yourself healthy and keep yourself immunized, because the transplant committees want to make sure, are you an optimal candidate? Will you not let this organ go to waste? Because plenty of other people would be in the same position as you if you do have end-stage renal disease. So you got to make it count. But that's where the committees come in, ethics committees, transplant wait lists, yada yada. Wait, do you have a dog? Oh, well, we have a dog at home, yeah. Oh, you're talking about my wife's family's dog. I'll pretty sure I'll share it with you, Spectral, later. Okay, Bumsel. Okay. So, as much as we want everybody to have a transplant, the primary treatment course that we normally see patients with ESRD have, or even if they're waiting for a transplant, they would still probably have to get it before they get the transplant, is dialysis. So, dialysis comes in two types. Hemodialysis, which is typically performed at a dialysis center, and peritoneal dialysis. But there's also an option to do hemodialysis at home, while peritoneal dialysis is normally strictly at home. So what does dialysis do? So it removes waste and excess fluid from the body, it controls blood pressure, and maintains proper balance of electrolytes. Hey Frank, thanks for joining on the stream. Good to see you, bud. Teaching about end-stage renal disease. So, what's the difference between the different dialysis types? So, hemodialysis is when they take the blood from your body, run it through a filter that's connected to a machine, run that filter, run the blood through the filter at the same time while while this mixture of liquid called dialysate goes through the opposite way in order to catch all the toxins and squeeze out the fluid from the blood. And then that blood would go back into the body, and then you would repeat that ad infinitum for however many minutes, how many hours, for however fast the doctor orders it for. So it sounds a little complicated, but I'll try to simplify it. So during dialysis, um, during hemodialysis, when we run the blood through what's called the dialyzer, which is the filter, it goes through these small straws that the blood passes through. Now, as they go through these straws, they're permeable. If you remember your chemistry terms, what it means by permeable is that things can go in and out. It's like an external artificial kidney if you want to be hyper simple. Yeah, that's being hyper simple. But I'm also trying to explain a little bit of intricacy on it. I'm currently on 3.5 hours of dialysis. That sounds about box standard there, Sheva. In my clinic, we actually start almost all of our patients start with 4 hours, believe it or not, and then we try to cut it down from there. Only because we want to make sure we give them the best, the best adequacy we can. And then if it's good, then we'll shave down the time. But yeah, so when it comes to the dialyzer, what it does, it effectively acts as like as a bit of a sponge, or it's actually squeezing out the fluid and the toxins from the sponge. Imagine the dialyzer as someone wringing a sponge, if that makes sense. I really wish we did 4 and then cut. Patients get really mad when you have to add time and set. Yeah, but that's why at our clinic we start with 4 hours. So, but yeah, think of the dialyzer as something that rings, that as the hands that ring the sponge being your blood, and then it'll take out all the fluid and all the toxins out while it rings it, and then all that blood goes back into your body. Not gonna lie, I thought dialysis has something to do with the eyes because of the word dilate. I mean, it was a good guess. You tried. It's all right, Peridot. You tried, though. I appreciate the effort, though. So when it comes to hemodialysis, though, think of it. You got to think of it this way, though. Your kidneys work 24/7, 365 days a year, 366 if it's a leap year, and they never stop. Now, if your kidneys don't function and you have to be on hemodialysis and you have to go to an outpatient center, imagine you're only getting your kidney. Yeah, oh, you hear my dogs. They like to complain a little bit, but they're hanging out with my dad. So, when it comes to yeah. When it comes to dialysis, though, and getting the treatment, you essentially only have your kidneys at max for 3.5 to 4 hours at a time. And not only that, you only get to use it only 3 times out of the week, 3 out of 4. So therein lies the rub. You can only have access to the machine for so long because, guess what? We also need to provide other patients with the same treatment for almost just as long a time. And dialysis centers can only be open for so long. So, as you can guess, we have to make sure that the treatment that we provide gives you adequate enough dialysis. So that's why almost every week, at least once a month, but almost every week, we take labs when we're at the clinic, because we need to test, are we giving you good enough dialysis? Is the amount of time we're giving you enough? Is the number of days that you're coming in here enough? Therein lies the rub. That's why doing inpatient dialysis can be tricky, because there's a lot of scheduling that has to go into it, a lot of thought, because we can't just slap them in there and hope for the best. We have to make sure everything is optimal, because we only have so much time with the machine. So we have to do a lot of things efficiently and do as much as we can, as much as possible. So, like you said before, Sheva, how your blood pressure goes into the 80s. So part of the problem with hemodialysis, at least inpatient, is that we have to take a lot of fluid in a short amount of time, because normally your kidneys gradually take care of that over the course of a day, 24/7, which is fine. But because you only have access to your kidneys in hemodialysis for, at best, 4 hours, then we have to pull a whole lot, depending on how much fluid you take, in such a short amount of time. So that's where we can get issues running into low blood pressure, where we can get issues running into cramping. That's where we can get issues of, unfortunately, sometimes, God forbid, there be cardiac arrest. Simply because we took too much fluid too fast. And the body can only respond so fast to the changes in the hemodynamics, or the dynamics of how the blood flows into the body, and how it flows out into the dialysis machine. Yeah, the cramping is a pain in the ass. No, I totally get that. I'm so sorry it happens to you. Now, a lot of the major dialysis companies, mine included, are pushing for home dialysis therapy. The reason being is that basically you can only pee during that 3 to 4 hour treatment. Imagine not being able to go for about 48 hours in between. At least you don't have the urge. I can't say. But going back to it, that's why a lot of the major dialysis companies, at least here in the US, are trying to push for home treatments. So when you do hemodialysis at home, or peritoneal dialysis, you can actually be on treatment for longer. You don't have to go as fast, and guess what? You get to do it on your own time. So that's why there's been a major push to do home dialysis treatments instead. So the other dialysis treatment I need to talk about is peritoneal dialysis. I still have some kidney function. I still pee, just not as much. And I'm glad. I just hope, you still keep retaining that kidney function of yours as long as possible. So with peritoneal dialysis, so here's the funky thing. We decide to, instead of using the blood, we actually use your peritoneal cavity and the peritoneum, which is the membrane that wraps around your major organs in your abdomen, as the filter. So, how does that work? So, your peritoneum, your peritoneal lining is actually lined with all these little capillaries, those blood vessels, those small blood vessels. And what we do in peritoneal dialysis is that after a catheter is inserted, that lets us put dialysate in and out, once we put dialysate in, we actually let it dwell for X amount of hours, and using the process of diffusion, and forget what was the other one, and using solute and solvent concentrations against it, basically using our chemistry, and yes, osmosis. Yeah, osmosis. And that's in order to pull out the fluid. In order to take out the toxins that way. So how it happens is that the dialysate is primarily filled with dextrose, sugar. Yeah, it's essentially sugar water, and some other materials in there. And what it does is that sugar, the dextrose pulls the fluid from your blood vessels, not the blood itself, just the blood vessels. Yes, it uses the concentration gradient. Yes, exactly. So the dextrose pulls the fluid from the capillaries, including the urea, creatinine, all those byproducts. And after you let it dwell, after a set amount of time, that's when you drain it out, and then you repeat the cycle. Hello, HW. Thank you for joining the stream. My name is Riko Siempre, RN. I'm a VTuber RN educator and IRL nurse. Pleasure to meet you. I am talking about treatments in end-stage renal disease. Gold star for you, Annika. Yes. So, when it does come to peritoneal dialysis, it's actually considered a more how you say, gentler on the body, because it lets osmosis, it lets the concentration gradient do its thing, rather than forcefully trying to pull the fluid out or the toxins out of the body at a rapid pace, unlike hemodialysis. Not to say you can't do hemodialysis at home, but we're essentially going slower and lower instead. But that's the cool thing about peritoneal dialysis, is that it's a lot gentler on the body, and you can do it over the course of a day, and you basically have your kidneys, quote unquote, more available. And you can actually either do this through a machine, or you can do it manually. And a lot of European and Asian countries actually utilize peritoneal dialysis as the first line for a lot of kidney disease patients, simply on the fact that, hey, you can do this at home. You can do this. You can do this without needing anybody else there to assist you, as long as you have a willingness to learn. Then yeah, it's a lot more effective for you, and be a lot more forgiving in terms of being able to have your quality of life back. And no needles. Well, I used to be a peritoneal dialysis nurse for a home program in my old job, and don't get me wrong, there's still going to be needles, because I still need to draw labs on a monthly basis, or every 2 weeks. So it's still going to happen regardless. Okay, fewer needles, just not giant ones every other day. That is true. That is true. You should see the gauge of the needles we have to use in hemodialysis. Yep. And those needles are huge. Yeah, if you're ever curious, look up what a 15 gauge needle looks like. You'll see what we use on the daily on hemodialysis patients. You don't want to know. Well, I mean, if you're curious, it's there. However, one of the things that we need to be aware of for any patient that is affected with end-stage renal disease, is that they do have to make dietary changes. So a lot of it comes down to fluid restrictions and watching your intake of calcium, phosphorus, and potassium. So it's collectively known as the renal diet. I'm not a dietitian. I can't really give too much information about that one. However, just know that things like oranges, bananas, potatoes, spinach, a lot of those, that it's not that you can't have it, but you really have to restrict your intake of them, because guess what? Because of those shot kidneys, you're going to have so much of those electrolytes, it can cause cardiac problems, like I said before, at least with potassium. If you have too much phosphorus, then it's very possible for to not just get really itchy because of the high phosphorus that you're getting around the body, and it spreads to your tissues, but calcium would leach from your bones into your blood in order to correct the phosphorus, because calcium, phosphorus follow each other. Cardiac issues can be deadly. Yeah, exactly. That's why we need to be careful with dialysis. But continuing with the phosphorus, if you don't fix the phosphorus when you're end-stage renal disease, if it isn't controlled, unfortunately the blood leaches from the bones into the blood, and unfortunately it can end up in your arteries and your organs. It causes calcification of your blood vessels and organs and cause even more problems. Means say more organ failure, vessel failure, peripheral vascular disease. So it can become a snowballing problem if we don't take care of it. Yep, they gave me a phosphorus binder to take with my meals. I'm going to take a wild guess. It's either Foslo, Sevelamer, or Velphoro. Maybe calcium carbonate, but that's not usually the pick. Off the top of my head. Maybe you take a calcitriol, too. Velphoro. Hey, there you go. That's actually pretty primo. Hey, there you go. But yeah, that's one of the things when it comes to the diet when you're end-stage renal disease is that you do have to adhere to certain restrictions in order to make sure you keep yourself healthy. It's unfortunate, but it is the way of the land. If you're on home therapy, the diet's a little bit more lenient. The fluid restrictions a little bit more lenient. However, it still follows the same basic principles in being that you still need to watch how much you intake because it can cause problems. Okay. So we went over treatments. We went over diagnoses. And we went over symptoms. How prevalent is end-stage renal disease? In the United States, at least. So, based on the most recent available data in the United States, as of 2019, there are over 800,000 individuals with end-stage renal disease. Hello, Kai the Guy. Thank you for coming into the stream. My name is Riko Siempre, RN, IRL nurse, and VTuber RN educator, and I'm going over end-stage renal disease. Did you want to go more detailed on the fluid restrictions? Yeah, I'm restricted 30 ounces of fluids a day. It's hard because some fluids are considered liquids. Yes, I can go over that a bit more. Your avatar is so cool. Thank you. Here, I'll let you see the whole thing. Yep, there we go. Yep. Yep. So, fun fact about my avatar is that it's actually based on everything I wear to work in real life. So, the cane, the collar of my scrubs, shoes, stethoscope, even the badge. I use it. I use it all in my IRL job. So think of me as just, thank you for the star. So think of me as just literally just getting off of work and just coming on to teach you guys here on IRIAM. So as Annika mentioned, do I want to go over, let's go over fluid restrictions a little bit. Can confirm it exists, including the badge, real dumpster fire. The dumpster fire, yep. It's all real. I literally wear it to work. Okay, so for the fluid restrictions, when it comes to end-stage renal disease, we need to be very careful because, like I said before, we can only take so much fluid out in such a little time. It's unfortunate, but it's we are limited during treatment to a maximum of 13 milliliters per kilogram per hour. So if you know your weight in kilograms, then you would know how much the maximum rate as to which we can take fluid out. Yeah, forget the medical field is very gross at times. It can be. Oh, you probably hear my doggo. So imagine, so say you're about 50 kilograms, which is about 120 pounds, give or take, right? So 50 times 13 equals, we can only take 650 mLs an hour, I believe. Now, hold on. Let me do that. 13 times 50 per kilogram. Okay. Yes. Say it's a 4-hour treatment. Okay, yeah, there we go. So, so we can only take 650 mLs per hour from a patient if they're only 50 kilograms. Oh, thank you so much for the party popper, Kai the guy. I really do appreciate that. Thank you. And thank you for the 60,000 star. Damn, Skydewey. But yeah, so we can only take so much because, with that certain rate, because if we take too much fluid during dialysis, guess what? We can cause problems with the heart, because if you imagine the pump the heart running like a pump, if you like a pump in a pool, right? So say it doesn't have enough water, it's going to work even harder and harder in order to push more blood through, or push more fluid through. If it has no blood, you're going to wear out the heart, you're going to burn the motor, right? So think of it that way. If the heart doesn't have enough blood to pump, it's going to keep working harder and harder. It's going to cause a lot of issues. It's going to cause a lot of problems, right? So that's why we need to make sure we only take so much fluid off during treatment. But that's why we're so restricted. Hi Pegasus, thank you for joining the stream. I'm talking about end-stage renal disease today. Right now we're going over then the heart will thicken. Yeah, it can if we put too much stress on it. That's how cardiomyopathy happens. Or otherwise we can also get like enlarged thickening of the ventricle walls, which leads to problems. So that's why we usually ask our patients to make sure I've been sick 6 days. I'm so sorry, Pegasus. I hope you've been feeling better. I really do. I hope you've been getting the treatment that you need to make sure you feel better. Okay. So when it comes to fluid restrictions, we normally, thank you so much, Nangi. I really appreciate the lollipop. Thank you. So when it comes to fluid restrictions, we normally ask patients to drink no more than 30 ounces a day, plus or minus however much they're still able to urinate out. That's because we can only, like I said, we can only take so much during treatment. The longer the treatment, the more fluid we can pull off. But then again, we can only pull off so many more. That's why for here in the U.S., there's been a major push for more. There's been a major push for more treatments of dialysis at home, because fluid restrictions are a lot less. You don't have as many restrictions when it comes to fluids when you're doing home treatment, because hey, guess what? You're having more dialysis. You can take more fluid out, so it's a lot easier. Okay. So back to not as necessary. I wouldn't say so. You still would have restrictions, but it's more lenient. So back to the prevalence of end-stage renal disease. Like I said before, over 800,000 individuals as of 2019. I have drinking water. No, that's good. Make sure you always drink your water, unless you're fluid restricted. If you're on ESR, if you have end-stage renal disease or chronic heart failure, then that might be an issue, but I don't think you do. I hope you don't. But going back to it, as of 2019, about almost over 800,000 individuals do have end-stage renal disease, which is a significant increase of, if you think about it, almost 41% from 2009. So that's a big jump. So let's see here. So the prevalence of it has been steadily increasing at 2% in the past 10 years. So that's a lot. Asha for diabetes from all the sweetness. So in terms of how they're receiving treatment, 61% receive in-center hemodialysis, while 30% live with a functional kidney transplant. So if you think about the remaining percentage, only a combined 9% or so are with home therapy, which is unfortunate because if we can push for more home therapy, it'd be a lot easier on the patients, a lot easier on the system itself. But that's a talk for here and there. There's also a bit of variability across the different regions in the United States, but if current trends continue, projections do suggest that the total number of patients with ESRD may exceed 1 million by 2030. So, here's a fun fact for you all. Sadly, those machines are expensive. Yes, they are. And here's the fun fact, though, about end-stage renal disease. You need a strong support system. Yep, you do. So for end-stage renal disease, so everyone's familiar with Medicare, right? The social, our social, socialized healthcare system here in the United States for 65 and over, or for disabled individuals. Well, fun fact: dialysis treatment is the only treatment that's actually subsidized by the U.S. government. It's the only thing willing to be covered by Medicare, regardless of age, regardless of what tax-paying status. I think. Yeah. It's so weird. It's like it's for pennies of the dollar of true cost. True. But I'm not going to get too much into the economics of healthcare and business and all those other stuff because it stresses me out and it's going to put me on a soapbox for hours on end. But that's not to the point. But dialysis treatments are subsidized by the U.S. government. Anywhere. So so there's a lot that can be considered under the dialysis bundle, and that's what a lot of people try. That's what a lot of companies try to put it under. That's why so many dialysis companies offer so many different services too. Because guess what? There's a lot you can fit into that umbrella of dialysis services, and patients will get billed for it. Medicare doesn't cover 100%. Yeah, unfortunately, it doesn't. Some patients still do need to cover other parts of treatment, other parts of dialysis service. Of course, there's also hospitalizations, co-pays, all that other stuff. But insurance is one thing that's a touchy topic for me because I could go on a rampage about that one. But I digress. I get free insurance because of my disability. No, and I'm glad, Pegasus. I really do. That's good because not everybody can afford to buy market insurance or be able to have a job that gives health insurance through your employment. So it's good that you have it, and I'm glad you're covered. For real. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, that's the little fun fact you didn't know about dialysis is that it's still subsidized by the government. It's the only organ system subsidized by the government. Forget having a heart, a heart replacement or any other kind of like system organ replacement. It's just the kidneys. When I was on Medicaid, it covered everything, but Medicare is its own creature. It is. And insurance is probably going to be a topic I'll cover on another day. Because that's a beast. Okay. So, who is most commonly affected by end-stage renal disease? Based on most recent data available, Yep, pretty much. Hi, Eddie. What's going on, detective? Welcome to the stream. Riko Siempre, RN, IRL nurse, VTuber, RN educator. Hey, man. What's going on? Yeah, I'm talking about end-stage renal disease and how what are the most common demographics affected by it. So, individuals aged 45 to 64 years account for the largest percentage of incidents of end-stage renal disease. So, it goes from 35 to about 43%. Uh, Males are more affected than females, representing about 54 to 59% of end-stage renal disease cases, with men 1.6 times more likely to develop ESRD than women. Uh, Going through race and ethnicity, Black / African American individuals are disproportionately affected, accounting for 30% of all patients with kidney failure, despite making up only 13% of the population. They're also 4 times more likely to develop end-stage renal disease compared to their white counterparts. And Hispanic and Native American people are more than twice as likely to develop end-stage renal disease compared to white people, while Asian people are 1.6 times more likely to develop end-stage renal disease compared to white people. Yep. I know race is a bit of a touchy subject, but this is also the reality that we face. A lot of my patients are marginalized people. A lot of my patients are Black, Hispanic, or Asian. Um, so that's most of the population I see at the clinic. That's who I see. That's the reality of it. So why is that? Think about this. Remember what I talked about. Let's connect the dots. Diabetes and hypertension are the leading cause of end-stage renal disease, right? I apologize if you already went over this, but do genetics play a big part? Family genes kind of thing? It can. We can go over that real quick. Let me just finish my demographic lesson. The part on the demographics. So, looping back to my previous mention of the primary causes of end-stage renal disease, diabetes and hypertension. So, unfortunately, according to the National Institute's kidney disease statistics for the United States, Black people are more likely to have ESRD caused by high blood pressure / hypertension rather than white people or Hispanic people. And Hispanic people are more likely to develop end-stage renal disease caused by diabetes over than white and Black people. However, it is important to note that white individuals make up the largest percentage of end-stage renal disease cases, ranging from 45 to 55%. But this is due to their larger representation in the overall population. The key thing is, though, that minority individuals, minority groups, marginalized folks are disproportionately affected when it comes to the population percentages. So even though there are more people, even though the primary population, the major population of the United States have the larger percentage of ESRD cases, the fact is that minority groups, marginalized groups, are affected disproportionately more and have a higher rate or higher chance of incidence amongst them is quite telling. So, how do genetics factor in? Actually, let's look this up real quick. I was kind of blindsided by this little question, but that's fine. What genetic factors come into play to the development of ESRD? No, it is a great question. I'm glad you asked it. Let's discover it together. Keyboard go clack clack. Yeah. Clicky clacky. Okay. Here's some key genetic aspects associated with end-stage renal disease. So there are some monogenic and polygenic disorders that can lead to end-stage renal disease. Um, one of the most common being polycystic kidney disease, which is a well-known inherited disease that causes, as says right there in the title, cysts in the kidneys. Um, so like growths in that don't really contribute to anything in the kidneys, which unfortunately can cause a lot of leakage of protein, which can lead to, guess what, end-stage renal disease. Um, but I'm not going to go over the other few points there because they're kind of on the rare side. We're kind of more focused towards what affects general population. um, so when it comes to familial risks, unfortunately, if end-stage renal disease does happen in your family, or like say hypertension, there is a chance that you could develop it if you're not careful. So here, let's see here on this study. So according to this study, from the application of clinical genetics, African Americans were 4 times more likely to develop end-stage renal disease compared to European Americans, partly due to genetic predispositions. So unfortunately, because there's higher incidence of hypertension amongst Black and African Americans, there's going to be more of end-stage renal disease, and it's going to affect the genetic blueprint of other generations. So it kind of becomes more inheritable that way. Family clustering of ESRD also suggests, I think I mentioned this, suggests a heritable component, with studies identifying certain regions linked to kidney disease, and phenotypes such as GFR and creatinine levels. Even though genetic predisposition plays a role, environmental factors such as diet, lifestyle, and exposure to nephrotoxic agents also contribute. For example, some individuals with diabetes or hypertension develop ESRD due to inherited susceptibility, while others do not. So, even though you were someone that has family with end-stage renal disease or hypertension or diabetes, you can limit the chance of developing them depending on your lifestyle choices and depending on your environment, and depending on whether or not you're exposed to or consume nephrotoxic substances, i.e. too much ibuprofen, too much Motrin, too much alcohol consumption, amongst other things. But yeah, genes can definitely play a factor into the development of end-stage renal disease. However, one of the biggest contributors, like I said before, is the choices you make. So make good choices. Choose wisely. Like I say when I end the stream, you choose wisely. What happens if you get overhydrated with ESRD? Okay, that's a good question. So, if you get overhydrated, if you have too much water, too much fluid with end-stage renal disease, what will happen is that you will cause swelling in a lot of different parts of your body, which we call colloquially in healthcare terms as third spacing. Care for yourself how you care for the person you love the most. Yeah, of course. That's how it should be. You need to care for yourself. Zeroth law of nursing, by the way. You gotta take care of yourself before you can take care of others. That's true in nursing as it is in life. Going back to having too much fluid during if you have end-stage renal disease. So that fluid, too much hydration can kill. Yes, it can, actually. So you remember my whole thing about if the pump doesn't have too much water, doesn't have enough water, or something for it to pump. Just imagine if there's too much. Um, yeah, it'll still work, but now you're going to be overworking it. um, so to the point where, um, so say you have the pool pump and you're pumping water into the pool, but there's too much water. Guess what? It's going to overflow, right? So that water is going to overflow into other areas, like say into the pool deck or into the sediment, to the grass, wherever you have the pool, right? Same thing applies with the fluid in your bloodstream. If you have too much fluid in your body when you have end-stage renal disease, that fluid needs to end up somewhere. So, so floods the whole body. Gross. Yes, yes, actually, it can get, because due to gravity, it frequently is. You can find it in your feet or your ankles or your legs. That's where a lot of the swelling can occur. Yes, pulmonary edema. So if depending on how bad the fluid intake was, if they didn't stick to restrictions, unfortunately, it can lead to fluid filling into the lungs. And yes, Nangi, congestive heart failure if we're not careful. Because guess what? We overload our vascular system, our heart, with too much fluid. So therein lies the rub. So that fluid's got to go somewhere, and it's not going to be in places where it's supposed to be. So that's why it's important, if you have end-stage renal disease, we need to watch our fluids. Or say we did have too much fluids and we can't take it all off during one treatment. Sometimes we got to ask our patients, hey, we need you to come back. You need to come in the next day because we need to pull more fluid from you. Otherwise, you're going to end up in the hospital. And unfortunately, when you get fluid in your lungs, guess what? That's also pneumonia. And that's another whole bit of problems there too. So let's not do that, shall we? Okay. Is that why people take water pills to evaporate the water and fluid? Pills like diuretic medications, if that's what you're talking about, like say Lasix slash furosemide, Bumex, stuff like that. They help the kidney to excrete more urine by basically upping the function. So that way it would filter out more and take more fluid out from the blood. So that way they would urinate more. But yeah, that's essentially why. Unfortunately, if you are end-stage renal disease, sometimes those medications aren't going to work anymore. Sometimes those water pills would just be extra chaff. Yeah, water pills, diuretics. So look at Lasix slash furosemide, Bumex. No, that's ACE inhibitor, I think. No, that's a beta blocker. No, that's a beta blocker. Yeah, no. Anything with primarily look up furosemide or Bumex. They just make you pee, and if you can't pee, well, yeah, if you can't pee, that means your kidneys are shot. That means you're getting those pills ain't worth beans. Okay. So I hope that answers your question. To our next segment, how does socioeconomic factors influence the progression of end-stage renal disease? Yep, I'm on Bumex 2 milligrams a day. Oh, there you go. Hey, just a little coffee cat. What's going on, Madra-chan? Good to see you. Thanks for joining the stream. So I'm talking about end-stage renal disease and how socioeconomic factors influence the progression. I'm late, but I'm ready to lurk. Oh, lurk away. I hope you learned something. Oh, by the way, Madra-chan, Annika's family, Madra-chan, good friends. She's a good friend of ours. Say hi. So, how do socioeconomic factors influence the progression of end-stage renal disease? So, income and poverty are strongly associated with higher risk of progression to end-stage renal disease. Individuals with an annual income below $15,000 a year have a 50% increased risk of developing end-stage renal disease compared to those with higher income. Um, Education. If you have lower educational attainment, it's linked to suboptimal transitions from uh, it's linked to suboptimal transitions from advanced kidney failure, advanced chronic kidney disease to kidney failure. So the less educated you are, the worse it's going to be. Let's see. Hello, Piper. Thanks for coming into the stream. I'm Riko Siempre, RN, IRL nurse, and VTuber RN educator, and I'm talking about end-stage renal disease today. So, like I said in my previous lecture on diabetes, education becomes a factor, because if you don't know what you don't know, and if you're not willing to use the thinking, if you don't develop the thinking skills and comprehension skills in order to understand what is good and bad for you, like health-wise, then we're going to have increased risk of end-stage renal disease. Health insurance status. Uninsured individuals with or at risk of chronic kidney disease are 72% more likely to develop end-stage renal disease compared to those with private insurance. So, irregardless of whether you're on it, so I would highly recommend, even though the American healthcare insurance system is pretty bad, I would still recommend getting any kind of coverage, because it not only does it lower your risk of developing end-stage renal disease, but it's just helpful overall. Like I've said before, and the the adage is true: an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of the cure. And so, if we can prevent ourselves from developing the disease, if we can try to stay healthy, even with bare minimum insurance, health insurance coverage, we're at a far greater likelihood to remain healthier. I bragged about husbands, so now they're here too. Oh God, you brought them on to IRIAM, huh, sweetie? Well, there you go. Neighborhood deprivation. Living in areas with high levels of poverty is associated with increased risk of ESRD incidents. I can probably guess as to why. The less access you have to things that you need in order to maintain a good quality of life. So say, like, you live in the middle of a food desert, or say you don't have access to fresh green areas, or outside, say that you're constantly in, like, dangerous conditions. It's going to affect it, because guess what? Higher levels of stress means higher levels of hypertension, means say higher incidence of end-stage renal disease. Prevention is always better than the cure. Maybe also potentially other platforms, but I will neither confirm nor deny. Well, thanks a lot, sweetie. Let's see. Excuse me. We went over race and ethnicity. Housing stability. Homelessness among individuals with chronic kidney disease is associated with a 28% higher adjusted risk of end-stage renal disease or death compared to those with stable housing. So yes, it is very important to try to get people housed. Find them a stable place to live, because guess what? That also contributes to the development of the disease too, and not just ESRD, but a whole lot of other plethora of diseases. It's a public health problem. Hello, Goofy Berry. Thank you for coming in. I'm Riko Siempre, registered nurse. I am a registered nurse in real life and VTuber RN educator, and I'm teaching about end-stage renal disease. Right now, we're going over the socioeconomic factors that influence the progression of end-stage renal disease. So, like I said before, also too, not proper grammar. Yes. So homelessness itself, being unhoused, can also develop other chronic issues as well, especially stress, because you're constantly on high alert. You don't have shelter, you don't have stable food, you don't have stable place to sleep, you're not warm, you're going to be affected by the elements, of course. Oh, he's an art and not a linguist. Yeah, I'm not a linguist. Nope, nope. Uh, so another factor is is access to healthcare. If we have limited access to services, including primary care, and care to and care and nephrology care, or kidney care, kidney care, kidney care. Um, it can affect the timely diagnosis and management of chronic kidney disease, which accelerates the progression of end-stage renal disease. I trained my mini-me grammar police well. So, a lot of these factors often interact and compound each other and create complex barriers for optimal kidney health. So, all in all, lower income leads to reduced access to healthcare and nutritious food, which ergo leads to acceleration of ESRD instances. Living in areas with high neighborhood poverty is associated with greater likelihood of ESRD incidences as well. So that's the thing. I work with these populations. I see them every day. So a lot of these socioeconomic determinants um, become a major factor into the incidence of end-stage renal disease, and that's why I just don't cover the disease itself, but also the factors that lead up to it. We can cover a whole lot of things that can person can do and make those choices. But you also got to remember there's also systemic issues that affect an individual as well. No person is an island. Hello, Chiramu. Thank you for joining the stream for the first time. I'm Riko Siempre RN, IRL nurse, and VTuber RN educator, and I'm actually starting to wrap up my lecture on end-stage renal disease. I was just about to ask the chat to see if they have any questions about end-stage renal disease they would like me to answer. If there are any particulars. Or if you want to talk about anything that's related or even suggest a new topic for a future lecture, I'm more than willing to take a listen. Thank you so much for following, Chiramu. I really appreciate that. Thank you so much. Really do. It helps. But yeah, missed some of what Riko said. Oh, okay. Like I was saying, I'm about to wrap up my lecture on end-stage renal disease. However, if anyone has questions about what I covered, what I talked about, what I potentially didn't consider or talk about during my lecture, feel free to let me know. Otherwise, I'm also willing to take any suggestions into future lecture topics that I could cover. So just give me a heads up. Totally don't mind. Any about chest pain right side? Are we talking about in the context of end-stage renal disease, or just in general? I hope you can clarify that for me, Pegasus. Just in general? Okay. So right-sided chest pain. So if you are experiencing any kind of chest pain right now and shortness of breath, I would highly recommend calling emergency services this instant and get off the stream. But if you're having that chronically, then it's probably best to follow up with your cardiologist or your PCP in regards to seeing what's going on there. Also, you just make good choices to avoid causing kidney damage. Some things you can't control society, like evaluosis, can influence your health. Hi, Celeste. Thanks for joining on this stream, and thank you for the star. I'm actually wrapping up my lecture on end-stage renal disease, and thank you so much for the rocket. Hey, Celeste. Oh, yeah, FYI, Hyrax family is here. Hyrax, Annika's family is here in chat. They found me out. um, but yeah, Pegasus. If my time is impeccable, by that I mean totally impeccable. Yep. But yeah, if if you are experiencing any kind of chest pain like that, I would highly, like right now at this very minute, I would totally recommend um, getting off stream, calling emergency services. I cannot help you over stream. Okay, this is not the time and place. Other people can help you. However, this is a chronic thing you are worried about. It's best left to have a discussion with your doctor about. Um, I can educate you about anything that your doctor diagnoses you about, but I cannot tell you what you have. That's have you done any? Have I done any lectures covering We're going to get banned by Riko. Have you done any lectures covering psoriasis? I was once driving 4 hours and had a giant amount of chest pain so bad I had to pull over. I thought I was gone. Turns out too much sugar and caffeine. SSRIs, serotonin. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, no, I know. Yeah, SSRIs. You're talking about the medications. Serotonin, something reuptake inhibitors. Yes. I can possibly do a lecture on that in the future. It'd just be way out of line of what I talked about right now. But yes, Celeste, having so much sugar and caffeine can be bad for you because you would get heart palpitations because of how much caffeine you consume. Selective Selective serotonin reuptake inhibitors had to memorize them last until. Did I miss? Did I miss the asthma stream? I have not done the asthma stream yet. Like I said, if you uh, stay posted on my social media, on my Blue Sky, on my Twitter, I'll be sure to let you know what the topic of the lectures are going to be. But no, I have not done asthma yet, but I will eventually. And now I only drink 75% as much. I need to get my mom to set me an appointment to check my back because I feel constant pain. B-Sky. Okay. Yeah, Peridot, get that checked out. Back pain is a son of a bitch. Not gonna lie. I've had to deal with it all since 2018. Thankfully, it's getting better, but still, I get worried. So that's where I would be better for your health to drink less than that. Probably. Given how many scoops of gamer sips you have per day. Yeah, but I'm addicted to caffeine. So was I, Celeste. But sometimes we gotta learn to wean ourselves off. Or at least try to moderate your consumption. Disclaimer, this is for educational and entertainment purposes. See medical professionals for actual care and diagnosis. Yep. Please. Yeah, like I said in my chat rules, I'm not here to diagnose or treat you. I'm just here to educate and possibly entertain. Um, but I would highly recommend seeing your primary care provider. If you do have any questions about any of your own health concerns or diagnoses, but I don't mind educating about the stuff that you're already going through already. Okay. Thank you so much for the off-guy plane, Celeste. Thank you so much. Caffeine is a diuretic. Yes, it is. At least I don't drink 4 full throttles in an hour anymore. College was tough. Celeste, damn. Girl. Oh, you're killing me here. Okay. Okay, yes, it is. Oh, man. Okay. Let's see how it's killing me. God. Oh my god. VTubers aren't beating the poor health allegations, I swear to God. That's why he became a DJ of fun at parties, lol. This is a bit. Hi Vampira. Nice for you to join us. I'm Riko Siempre RN. I'm VTuber RN educator and IRL nurse. Thank you for joining me on the stream for the first time. Unfortunately, I am wrapping up my lecture on end-stage renal disease. However, I will let you know, and everybody else in chat know, I will have the... Thank you so much for the star. I will have the VOD available, the video on demand, on my YouTube channel pretty soon, after this lecture is done. I drink water mixed with gamer subs. Celeste. Okay. Um, so if you did want to catch my lecture or any previous lectures I've had before, um, you can check out my YouTube channel that is on my profile. You can go ahead and click that. You can also find me on other social media websites such as Blue Sky, Twitter. You also find me on Twitch. Sometimes I play games. Sometimes I do my podcast series on there. Sometimes I do lectures. No, she triggered Grumpy RN face. There are worse things you can mix with water. Yep, that's true. Okay. If chat doesn't have any more questions about end-stage renal disease or anything that's associated, I will probably be ending stream right now. Yes, Celeste, you have a question? Thank you, Riko. Great info. Love the stream. I'm glad you loved it. All right. What is the land speed velocity of an unladen swallow? Let's see. Let's check that out, shall we? Let's see. What is the land speed velocity of an unladen swallow? Oh, that didn't type up. What is the land speed of an unladen swallow? Okay. All right. The available data focuses on their airspeed velocity, which is approximately 11 to 13 meters a second of the European barn swallow. Let's see if it's African now. What is the land speed of an unladen African swallow? Let's see. Well, we don't have data on their land speed, about their flight capabilities. An airspeed velocity of an unladen African swallow is approximately 11 meters per second or 24 miles per hour. Yep. In comparison, compared to the European ones, it's between 4 and 14 meters per second, or 9 to 31 miles per hour. So European swallows are slightly faster than African swallows. FYI. I hope you enjoyed me looking up that fun fact. And yes, I know it was from Monty Python and the Holy Grail, but I will take it seriously because there are no stupid questions here in these streams. Hi, Stars. Thank you for joining in the stream the first time. I'm Riko Siempre RN. I'm the IRL nurse and VTuber RN educator here on IRIAM and other platforms. I'm actually wrapping up stream right now. If you did want to learn something about end-stage renal disease, don't worry. I did record this entire lecture through my other device, so the VOD will be up on my YouTube channel pretty soon, probably within the next couple days. But yeah, if you wanted to review anything that I talked about or see anything, or if you want to hit me up with or any of you in chat want to recommend a suggestion of what I should cover next, let me know. All my links are there in my profile. Other than that, I hope everyone have a good night. Let me go ahead and do my call outs. Contrive, thank you so much for coming in. Celeste, thank you so much. Nangi Oilfont, Annika, Scowdy Drac, Random Zero, Dahlia, Sheva, Paradot, Pegasus, HW, Just a Little Coffee Cat, and Divine Fox. Thank you so much for joining me on my lecture tonight. I really do appreciate everyone for coming in here today. Your support means the world to me. I'm just a small streamer in my own space, trying to carve out my own thing, but also trying to do some good work here. And that's the goal. I'm trying to help bring some education to where it's needed. So might as well bring it here to IRIAM. So in any case, though, I wish everyone here a wonderful night. I know it's been a rough Monday. Thank you so much for the heart, Peridot. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate that. Um, but yeah, I like to end my streams. Choose wisely. Your life is full of choices. You can be affected by anything that happens to you, but you have a choice of how to act and react. So it's up to you to choose wisely. But live boldly. Don't be afraid of being your authentic self. Don't be afraid to speak your truth. Be you. Be proud of you. Because I'm proud of you. Because you're special. You're special just the way you are. Alright? In any case, have a good night, everyone. Wishing you pleasant dreams. Hopefully, you have a good day tomorrow morning. And you all take care, okay? Love you all. Bye. Bye. Take care. Bye.